So we did put a lot of time into that to try to get, how can we get as many features on the screen in the time we have?
I remember that being a big plot point of the documentary that
That's
that I
because
watched
they
probably
were
in my college dorm room at the time.
That's because that's the time they were here. That just happens to be what,
Oh,
what we were doing at the time.
They thought that was a good hook. Like, what do you guys go through in getting ready for this big show and showing your game for the first time? And so they were here, adding to Todd's stress level tremendously, because it wasn't just they'd pop into a meeting every now and then. Like, they were constantly in our office during a really stressful time.
Shaking his
and
head.
Todd's giving his very annoyed shaking of the head look. But like, not just being there, but then like Todd would say something in a meeting, but the camera guy hadn't been on him, so they would ask Todd to say it again. And it was his blood pressure was already in the red,
God.
and so it was not helping. It made for a good documentary, but
Actually,
Todd was like, "We will never do
once
that."
It was a great experience that I declared never again afterwards. I eventually got used to it, the camera following me around, and then they put a lot of that stuff in the documentary, and someone above us had that cut out. We don't.
Right. Not good. Not for public viewing. And so we ended up. So there's actually two versions of the documentary. There's the original version,
The director's cut.
which is actually really good and highly entertaining, but also very different in vibe than the one we.
The original one has more the vibe of, and it is really good, but it has the vibe of, this is never going to work. And it has a lot more drama, because you start thinking, even when I watched that version, I'm like, wait, did it not work?
Oh, man. So speaking of the making of, obviously we did a collector's edition for the game. At that point, that was pretty rare for a console game to have a...
Halo 2.
There's Halo 2, but there weren't a whole lot.
There weren't a lot. It's true. But we had done one for Morrowind that was pretty successful and pretty popular. And it was another one of those things where I think we had sorted out really early on. And most of this goes to Todd, because generally speaking, he usually says, like, here's the things I want to do in my collector's edition. But we had figured out, like, the coin, the pocket guide to the Empire, all of that stuff. We had
Always a good bathroom read.
We had figured out a lot of that stuff, very, very early on.
Have you put that to the test, Matt?
Yeah.
No, it's from
All right.
experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's in there.
Yeah, we really like in our collector's editions that the stuff feels like it's from the actual world.
Yeah.
So I really like the coin, and Pete gave me a bag, like a felt purse.
It was
actually a Crown
Royal bag,
but it's full of septums of the gold coins. I mean, it's got maybe 100 in it.
Yeah, it was.
And I tell you what, to a person, and it's in my office. When you pick it up, there's this little tinge of like, this is what people like. I don't know. It makes you
feels
happy.
like an in-game
you wanna
thing.
you want to like juggle it in your hands, and
Indiana Jones woman put it on the idol.
people have done that. Yeah.
So after 4 years, what was it like actually seeing the game release and get the reaction that it did?
The most stressful thing, because we were done and we were feeling pretty good about the game, that we had accomplished it, and we're a little bit anxious about everybody going to play it. And then I remember GameSpot did this. They announced they were going to do basically a stunt with it, and at midnight on the night the
game
came out, they were going to play Oblivion for 12 hours and live stream it.
I remember that.
All right.
And we pretty much shit ourselves. Like, oh my God.
I actually remember
Oh my
you
God.
and I were we had our party that night. We had our launch party that night, and we were on the boat.
We came back and watched it live.
But we were on the boat thinking talking about like, oh crap, in an
We had a
hour,
countdown
GameSpot
to it,
is
yeah.
going to start playing our game live in front of anybody in the world who wants to watch it. Like, what have we done? What?
If there's any piece of software, there's going to be a bug, right?
Yeah.
So, but you run this risk of the first person to pop it in is going to play it for 12 hours, and any little thing that goes wrong.
By the way, it wasn't an hour. It was
12
hours.
And they're just going to say everything they're thinking. So,
Right.
fortunately, they loved it, and there were nothing horrible happened when they ran it. So it came out well. But we all went back and watched it, and we're just You know,
Did you watch the whole 12 hours?
No.
But we watched. They were still going
be
the
our
next
job
morning,
now.
so we probably watched 3-4 hours of it.